What is good, guys? It's your boy Ray J here with another video, and in this video I'm going to be doing a quick technical analysis of Nio. I'm going to be talking a little bit about their earnings report and major announcements and where I see Nio going in the upcoming future, both near term and long term. So before I get started, guys, I have to do one quick thing. First off, I have to mention that I'm not a financial advisor, legal expert, or taxation expert, so do not take this as legal, financial, or taxation advice. Additionally, guys, if you can, please smash that like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but it benefits the entire community as a whole. So with that said and done, guys, Nio did have a bit of a down day today. We are minutes before closing, but I'm just going to talk about where it is right now. It's at 42, a little bit over $42 a share, and overall it's not looking bad. This isn't necessarily bad. I just think that this year 2021 has been a tough year for the auto industry. The manufacturing industry has been really hit like tough. It's been really tough because the effects of what happened last year are now beginning to play out. And on top of that, it's very clear that people are upset because of the chip shortage. There was a major chip shortage after what happened in Japan and also the things happening in China right now. I can't go into too much detail. There's only so much I can say because of the YouTube policies. But I will say that, look, it has been a really tough year. I mean, you could even look up, let's just say Tesla. If I look up Tesla's chart right now, if we go back to the 1 year chart, you could clearly see that it reached a peak of 900 and dropped as low as the $500 range. That was during the March crash. Look at Nio. Nio experienced the exact same thing. It actually reached around the $60 range before crashing as low as the 30s, just above the $30 line of support. And it has lots of support at the $30 range. And if anything, it did begin to recover around the month of July, especially with the new reports coming out. But overall, it's been relatively stagnant. It has had a bit of a red day because their earnings, they did beat their earnings, but it wasn't as great of a day. And typically during earnings, the stock prices tend to go down. And that's the uncomfortable truth, but it doesn't mean that anything changes. It doesn't mean that Nio is a bad company. Of course not. It has the backing of its government. It has really huge potential for its future. And I definitely see Nio exploding in the long term future. However, in the short term, it's going to be a little bit tricky for it to actually break out of its line of resistance. It's going to be a little bit tricky for it to break out of the 40s. I do see it reaching the 50s by the end of the year, but I kid you not, guys. This just has been a tough year, okay, and they're still in the recovery phase after what happened, but their sales data actually shows how they are in the recovery phase. Now, looking at it, their market cap is at 69 billion, lol 69. Despite that, the market value is looked at as overvalued and people are very bearish on it. But overall, I don't trust everything that these analysts are saying because the entire market as a whole is overvalued. So I'm just trying to let people know that do not fall for everything you see on the internet, and there's still going to be huge potential for the upcoming future for Nio. Now, let's look at Nio's very interesting data. Right now, the market cap of Tesla is at $702 billion, whereas Nio is currently at about 60 billion. And that's still relatively high. It's not that far away from GM, actually. So it's relatively high. But if you look at their total quarterly earnings report, they were at 21,000 deliveries in the second quarter of 2021. Tesla was at 201,000. Tesla's been doing about 9 times as well. Yet Tesla has over 12 times, or excuse me, yeah, about 12 times the market cap, despite having 9 times the sales. So that's something really interesting worth noting. But obviously, Nio is changing very quickly and becoming more of a brand in China. And if anything, I do not think that Nio is heavily overvalued. If anything, I think that this will be a discount for where it's going to go in the future. And when looking at that, you can actually see that there are many interesting things that are actually being said. If you look at the price estimate earnings of 2022, uh, Nio was not reported, but for 2025, its estimated earnings was at 37.7, where Tesla's would be at 50.5. And looking at all this data, you can obviously see lots and lots of comparisons, but it's not looking bad for Nio, especially if you look at their P/E ratios. But I want to go over something really important. That is, if you look at their deliveries over the last year or two, they have been going up and up, except for Q1 in 2020. We all know what happened, but every single quarter their numbers are going up and up and up, slowly after slowly after slowly. Now their Q2 growth wasn't extremely huge because of the chip shortage and the things that were going on, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing because their numbers are improving tremendously, and that still makes me very, very bullish for the near term and long term future for Nio. Now, for the near term, I'm not talking about tomorrow or weeks away. I just mean maybe within a couple of months. I think there can be a small breakout happening to the stock price, but I don't necessarily think it's going to explode like people say it may. I think that Nio is more of a long term play, and if you want to see lots of big things happening with Nio, if you want to see the stock price increase, you have to be patient. Patience is a virtue, and you just have to give it time. Because remember, Nio is still a relatively young company. It was barely founded in the year 2014, and that's still really, really young. It could even be looked at as a startup, not necessarily a true startup, but sure, it's close to being a startup. And it was a penny stock if you go back about 2 years ago, and it's just gone started to the place where it is. They did raise a lot of funds for a lot of things going on, and a couple of months ago they did have their expansion to Norway. So all that is going really, really well, and their brand is improving across the globe. Now I want to go over something really, really big and important about Nio, and that is look at their sales. Okay, right now, if you could see, the white represents 2018, 2018, 2018. Okay, the light blue represents 2019. You could obviously see their sales were kind of stagnant in 2019, and they started increasing just a little bit. Then look at the year 2020. They had pretty high amount of sales in 2020. Early, it ended up going down because of the crash that happened, and we all already know what happened in the year 2020. After that, it began to increase, 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 increase. Now look at where they were in December of 2020. You could just see the growth right over there. Now look at the red right over here. You could see the red of 2021. Look at them in January, absolutely killing it. Compare that to the last 2 years. They absolutely crushed it. Despite the chip shortage, despite all the things that they're going through, Nio is still strong and their fundamentals are incredible. They're going up. They've remained pretty stagnant of the first quarter, even the first 2 quarters, but June was actually a fairly good month. And if you look at them, their ES6 model sold over 18,000 so far this year, EC6 14,000, ES8 8,000. They have a new sedan that's going to be coming out. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. If you look at the growth of this company and their fundamentals, their amazing customer service, the fact that they have battery swapping technology that's so much more convenient for China. And you have to remember that as of right now, where the world stands, 1 out of 2 EV sales are coming from China. 1 out of 2 are coming from China. Even 1 out of 2 Tesla sales actually come from China, or may even be higher than that. So, because there's so much growth and so much potential in the company of China, I know that there's negative sentiment towards it. I'm not necessarily going to say that it's a horrible company, because it's not. It still has amazing things about it. It's looking really, really good. Their sales are increasing. They're doing well. Their fundamentals are amazing. They have amazing customer service. People are really, really happy. And the brand that Nio has been giving is just improving like crazy. So with that said and done, guys, I just wanted to say one last thing, and that is, look, there are things out of Nio's control that are happening. So look at what happened, for instance, in this year. This actually was released just a couple of days ago. July consumer prices jumped 5.4%, but core inflation rises less than expected. So basically, the core inflation of the USA was about 4%, 4.3% over the last year, and it actually increased. It decreased slightly to 4.3% when it was 4.5%. So that's still relatively high. Even though it was a decrease, it's still high, because inflation should have a mean of around 2% here. In the US, 2 to 2.5% would be good, but anything above 4 is almost twice as how high it should be. So as inflation goes up, a lot of money has been poured. A lot of institutionalized investors have poured their money into bonds and other more enticing places, and that's been really, really hard for the EV market as a whole. That's part of the reason why it's really, really hard for Nio. This year has been pretty tough for the entire EV market, but I have to tell you, these things are happening out of Nio's control. So for my price prediction, where I see Nio going is, there are things happening out of their control, and despite that, they are pushing through and they are still strong. I predict Nio is going to hit the 50s by the end of the year. I can't see it actually growing that much because remember, Nio Day is going to be approaching in early January of next year, and that's just a couple months away. So there could be a run up depending on that. I could see it reaching 50. Okay, I see the mid to high 40s coming very soon, and I'll see Nio. I expect Nio to touch close to 50 by the end of the year. And next year, I believe Nio will hit $100 because of their growth, because of their estimates. I think they're going to crush the data that they give out. I think Nio is going to do really, really well. By the end of the year, next year, I expect $100 from Nio. So with that said and done, guys, excuse me, I expect a minimum of $100. So I'm still very bullish on the stock. I still have a lot of conviction in, and I have to tell you that we have to remain patient if we want to see lots of growth. So thank you so much for listening, guys, and I will see you on the next one.